before I was over there.
Oh my gosh. And we are live. Guys, welcome to Office Hours with Arrow. It's a LinkedIn Live event hosted by Arrow leaders and friends who care about what senior living looks like. I'm Shannon Novak. I'm the Senior Managing Director of Marketing. And with me today is the one and only Ayana King, CEO, Maximum Communications. Ayana, it is so exciting to finally have you here.
It's so exciting to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
It has been a long time coming. This is your first time on here, right?
This is for this LinkedIn Live. Yes, for Arrow. I love
Yeah.
LinkedIn, as you know. So
Oh, yeah.
not new to LinkedIn Live, but I'm certainly new to Arrow's LinkedIn Live, and it's good to be here.
I can't believe it took us this long to get you here. For everybody who's listening, guys, I don't know if you know, but we wouldn't have Office Hours with Arrow if it wasn't for this lady right here, Ayana King. She was our inspiration. She pitched the idea to us and was like, guys, you got to get on LinkedIn Live. And we're like, I don't know about that. That's crazy talk. And here we are, like a year later, or whatever year. I don't even remember when we started. It feels like forever ago.
It does.
Just rolling with it. All thanks to Ayana, but that's not why we're here today. I mean, we could talk about how great Ayana is all day, but we have a purpose. Today is International Day of Nonviolence.
Yes. Today is International Day of Nonviolence. This also marks the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi, who was the leader of the Indian independence movement and also the pioneer for the philosophy and the strategy behind nonviolence, which was used throughout the 60s during the civil rights movement. And it is used today, both outside of communities and inside, hopefully, our communities.
Yeah, Gandhi. I mean, I think everybody knows that name. If you don't, maybe a quick Google search. But I feel like Gandhi inspired a lot of people and with this movement, and yeah, definitely world changing. And here at Arrow, whether we were directly inspired by Gandhi or not, one of our core values is defend the dignity of others. It is one of my personal favorite core values, although really I love all of them. But it is one of my favorites. It is one that I talk about a lot. And the way that I end up talking about it a lot is when we're looking at social media. We're defending the dignity of others. If you wouldn't post a picture of yourself like that, don't post it of someone else. We got to care. But it does run a lot deeper than that. It is not just about photos and social media. It is about how we are standing up for each other, supporting each other, making everybody in our community feel seen, because how can you be a community if it doesn't have community?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where we started. That's where we started however many years ago with the birth of our core values, and it has really grown. And as we were building our traditions calendar, like the first, maybe second year, and we're looking at things to cover and talk about, we were like, well, we've got to get this on here, because I think a clear and easy segue from International Day of Nonviolence is talking about bystander awareness and bystander intervention.
Yes. Yeah, and what it means to be maybe not a bystander, but an upstander. And shout out to Hollaback. They used to be called Hollaback. Yes. And our eyes, our 4 eyes of interventions, Arrow's 4 eyes, were really inspired by the 5 Ds of bystander intervention. And so when we talk about upstanding, we're talking about people who are willing and able to do something when they see acts of bullying or harassment. And it's important for us outside, right, to be able to show up or maybe usher out if we need to. But it's also really important for older folks inside communities too. And so that's why we're having this discussion today. And bystander intervention should be something that everybody should be aware of. And maybe you can take away, maybe not all 4 eyes, something that you would want to do, but maybe one of those eyes would make sense for you.
Yeah, and shout out to the group formerly known as Hollaback, because when I was initially learning about this, I learned a lot from them and the work they'd done already, and they really inspired the creation of our 4 eyes.
Yeah.
your era with what they've done, because one of the things is there's a distinct difference. You've got the bystander effect,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got bystander intervention. And it, like, because the bystander effect for, well, Ayana, do you want to talk about the bystander
Yeah.
effect?
So studies show that people are actually less willing to intervene when they are in groups because they think that somebody else will do it, right?
Mhm.
So, for instance, maybe you are in a community and you see something happening in the dining room. You might want to speak up, but because there are other people around, you may choose not to because you think that someone else will do it. That's called the
Yeah.
bystander effect. And so we want to raise up upstanders, folks
Mhm.
who are not going to be waiting for somebody else to do it, but they say, you know what, I'm here. Why shouldn't I be the one that intervenes?
Yeah. And I mean, it is much worse to have nobody stand up than to have too many people stand up.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean,
Absolutely.
can you have too many people? Maybe there's probably a limit somewhere where, but that would be a great limit, I think, to find. Be like, actually, we have too many people here to defend the dignity of the people around them. We got to calm down.
That's right. Yeah, so that's what we want to do, is to give people tools that make it really easy for them to do something. Because there is a saying, okay? And that saying is silence is violence, right? And
Mhm.
so we don't want anyone to stay quiet about things that are hurting other people. And
Yeah.
when I say silence, I'm not always talking about using your voice. Sometimes you can use your energy just to shift a situation. And so I know we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Silence can be not speaking. It can also be just turning away from it. Like
Hmm.
it's shows up in lots of different ways that all end in not being an upstander, not being an upstander. Because within a community, within an era community, it's important to create space where everybody can feel included, where everybody can feel safe, like they belong. One of the phrases we throw around a lot is that we want to be not just a great place to live and work, but a safe place to live and work. And I think part of creating that is creating kindness, is showing kindness, is accepting others' views and embracing them and learning from each other. But we also have to remember to draw the line, because we can be tolerant of others, and we should be tolerant of others, even if it is not our belief, to the point when that tolerance hurts somebody else. We
Yeah.
can't be, we have to, it's time to stand up when the tolerance becomes intolerance, or when the tolerance allows intolerance of others.
Yes.
Because if we're not all here for each other, what are we doing? Who are we here for?
And I think that there's something to be said about empathy in that conversation as well. I don't have to agree with your outlook on life for me to be empathetic and for me to feel for you. And I think that that is something that all of us are working towards. And so, yeah, I think this is a timely conversation about how we can all be better upstanders.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioning empathy. Like, I was just thinking about standing, seeing somebody going through something, and like knowing how that would feel for you in your own heart, and just like, ugh,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's rough. Empathy is, yeah,
Yeah.
important. It's
And you know
important.
what? And it should move us to do something, right? But we also know that all of us are different people, we're different individuals, we have different background and experiences, and the way I might respond to something might not be the way you respond to something. And that's why it's really important for us to have a number of tools that we can use at our disposal when we see bullying or harassment occur.
Yeah, because it occurs. I mean, in a community, it can occur anywhere. You can have residents bullying or harassing another resident, or residents and staff, or staff and residents. Like, it crosses generational bounds.
It does.
um and it is important. And like you said, like, the way you're going to stand up might not be the way that I, as a matter of fact, we've talked about this before. I know that we have different approaches, and that's one of the things. We've got to go into the four eyes. We've danced around them forever, but that's one of the things I love about these, as we're going into it, is there is space for everybody, and how you function as a human. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable no matter what,
Mhm.
but there are phases for, like, that can work no matter who you are, how you show up, or yeah. So, okay, we've talked about enough. We've drawn that part out for gosh, almost 10 minutes. We're almost 10 minutes in. Who are we?
That was a good conversation, though. I think it was necessary to
Yes.
understand what upstanding is and how they could already thinking for themselves. How might I be an upstander?
Yeah. Yeah. So the four eyes of intervention. Again, so I've mentioned that Ayana is the reason we're here on LinkedIn Live today. She's also the reason that we have these four eyes. She really helped us put these together and create them and find that flow. And then we both wore glasses today, which we also do every day, but today too, to really embrace our love of four eyes.
Okay, four eyes.
The power. Okay, the four eyes, Ayana.
Eight
Tell me
eyes.
what they are. Get ready.
All right. Are you going to say them or do you want me to say them?
I think you create them. Say them.
Okay. So I'm going to go down the list of the four eyes. So if you're taking notes, take your notes.
This is your time. Get that pen.
And then I think after I list all four, maybe we can go through each one and maybe think about scenarios and ways that we might show up. And if you are watching in the audience, we would love to hear how might you sort of show up under these four eyes. Okay. So they are interrupt, intervene, initiate, and intel, as in providing intel. So Shannon, how do you think interrupt might show up?
I think interrupt is one that can show up a lot of ways, because you could choose, you might be someone that is absolutely fine with just like getting in the middle of it and being like, whoa, 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 we got to back this up. We got to get out of here. So you could directly engage and interrupt. Or if you're like, I feel like this situation needs to be interrupted, but I do not feel like I can step in and do that. It can be anything. You can make a loud noise. Yes. You can trip. You can drop something. You can, I don't even know, anything that creates some sort of distraction that breaks the focus of the moment can count as interrupting.
That's perfect. What you are planning to do when you see something happening and you say to yourself, I've got to do something, you are trying to take the energy away from what is happening. You want to give the target, okay, the person who is experiencing that bullying or discrimination, you want to give them an opportunity to leave that space. So that was a perfect example. You may choose to break a dish. You may choose to make a loud sound. You know, if you're a very dramatic person, maybe you will, I don't know what you'll do. Maybe you will yell. Maybe you will fall out. You will find a way to draw the attention and the energy from that situation, giving thereby that person who is, again, the target, an opportunity to leave. So yeah, that is interrupt. And interrupt, I noticed that you were also going into that second eye. What were you going to say though?
Yes. Well, first I was going to say the other part with interrupt, and really with any of these, is it's also part of reading the situation, because it may not be safe for you to interrupt in a more direct way, which does lead into intervene, just so we know. But it might be safer to be like, okay, maybe I just break the dish. Yeah. Maybe I just break the dish, because that draws the attention away without inserting any more aggression into what is likely an aggressive situation.
Absolutely. So, which does into intervene.
Yes, intervene. I'm already wandering into intervene. Let's get into it.
So intervene is exactly what you said. Especially if you are a big personality, maybe you, as the people say, as the young folks say, you ain't scared. You might be a person who directly intervenes. One thing I will say about that is, in every situation, Shannon, you already mentioned it, you want to assess the situation and ask yourself, is this a safe situation? I may have a big personality. I may be a person who is outgoing, but if it looks like a situation that is not safe, I'm not going to engage with somebody who's already hostile and aggressive. Not only might it be dangerous for me, and most likely it will be, because that aggressor will then turn their energy towards you, but also it could make it an unsafe situation for that target, for that person who was already experiencing discrimination or bullying or harassment, whatever it is. So we want to be very careful when we intervene and how we choose to intervene, so that we aren't inflaming an already inflamed situation.
Absolutely. And this is kind of off, but I always think of it with intervene, because it was when I was younger. In my previous life, I was a veterinary technician, and there was one day very early in my career, a cat lost its mind. as cats are wont to do. It was very angry about being at the vet. It scaled the vet. It is all claws in. Intervene in your brain can sometimes be, I've got to get in there and fix it fast. This is bad. But if you're reading the situation, you don't want to go rip the cat off the shoulder.
Yep.
You want to go detach the claws, because you're going to make it worse if you just go in guns a-blazing
Right.
and just hot and heavy in it. And that is part of, obviously, a little bit different scenario, but it is still what always comes to mind is you've really got to think that through, because it matters. It matters to you. It matters to the person that's the target of it, and the safety and scaling the situation. So sometimes you have to temper your own personality to slow down and think through what's coming. But it is a very clear and direct way.
It is. It's the most aggressive way
Oh yeah.
of being an upstander, to be honest. And yeah, so read that situation, read the room. You know, sometimes what we have to do, especially when we are being reactionary like that and we want to get in there, I have to ask myself in situations, is this about me or is it about the target?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when sometimes you may be watching something unfold, it can be very triggering for you and it becomes personal, right? And so we want to get in there and I'm gonna avenge. Well, who am I avenging? Myself, or am I avenging the target? And I've been in that situation before, and it was a very humbling experience for me, because I made things worse. And so, you know, when we're having this discussion, we're having a very real discussion about what can happen. And so would love to hear from anybody that also maybe would be uh thinking about using either interrupt or intervene, and maybe you've had an opportunity to use either one.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you said there about who was it about? Because I do think sometimes like, there are people in this world, and it is in many cases good, where you've got kind of that hero complex and you really want to be the hero. And not only do you want to fix it, but you want people to see you fix it.
Nope.
And that is part of, I think, part of that conversation of who is this for? Because if it is for you so that people can see you doing such a great job and fixing everything, then you got to, yes, we're getting to the same result, but I think we've got to turn inward on that and be sure that we are thinking about the person in the situation and how to support them through it.
Yeah, definitely.
Third eye, initiate.
Yeah. So the third eye, initiate, is all about initiating a third party. And I think this is really important if you are in a community, whether you're a resident or a team member, and maybe this situation is bigger than what you can handle. Maybe emotionally, I don't want to intervene and I don't know how to interrupt. What can I do? I can enlist a third party for help. So what might that look like in a community, Shannon, do you think?
I think there are a lot of options. If we go to, let's say we're in the restaurant, it's a meal, you're a server. Let's say even it's your second day, because you might be a very bold server, but you are new, you don't know what to do with this. Things are really escalating. It's getting hot, and you know it's got to stop, but you're not there. Get your culinary director, get your ED, get somebody that feels more confident in it, and that it can start there. And it may be that that's actually not even who you need, and you need to escalate it further. And let's hope it doesn't come to that ever, because it could escalate that you've got to call the police or something like that to really bring in a strong intervention. But I think you're looking for the person in the room, or it can even be as simple as clocking who's in this situation with you and
Yeah.
observing, because it might just be, you don't need to bring in someone with quote unquote more clout. You just need a buddy. You need someone to help you figure this out, and you can just, the person next to you might be the answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The thing about initiating is you are looking for a helper, right? And of course, we know that our team members, all of our team members are helpers. But our residents can be helpers too, right? And so sometimes initiating a peer of another resident is a really great way to stop a situation from escalating. So yeah, always remember that if you are not able to or willing to, for whatever reason, and remember, this is why you have choices, right? To either intervene or interrupt, you can always initiate a third party.
Yeah. And I think it is really powerful if it's an option. If residents are involved, having that peer step in, I think really does add a layer, because then it is I mean, it's a peer. I think things always are a little bit different when it is a person you know that is of similar
Yeah.
standing in your eyes that's saying, "You gotta we can't be
Reel
doing
it in. Reel
yeah,
it in.
back it up. Why are we saying this stuff? Why are
Yeah,
we
absolutely. Which brings us to then the fourth I, which is
providing intel?"
yeah.
Intel.
So this one, I would say that providing intel should be used in conjunction with another one of the I's. All right. When you are providing intel, what you are doing is you are sharing what you saw happen. Whether you overheard it or you documented it, you are sharing it with the appropriate persons. That might be a team member of the community. That might be, fire and rescue, police, whomever it is. What I want people to know though is when you are providing intel, it should not be your first course of action. Okay. When we see somebody being bullied or harassed, we see this all over social media, right? What do people do? They automatically take out their phones and they start recording.
Yeah.
First of all, this could be the worst day of somebody's life. And what we choose to do first thing is to record it. No. I understand that we may want to record for documenting purposes, but have we already tried to interrupt? Have we intervened? Have we initiated a third party? If we haven't, then the providing intel really could feel hurtful to the person who was experiencing bullying and harassment because you could have intervened, you could have interrupted, you could have initiated, but instead you documented. Documenting itself and providing intel is not the problem. The problem is doing that first. And so we always want to make sure that we are taking care of the person first and then providing intel.
Yeah. And with that, and I mean that compares so well with initiate too. You find that extra person, one of you can document, one of you can break the dish or walk up and directly intervene in the situation or whatever, but then you've got both. But then the next part is, if you are documenting it, what are you then doing with that? Because if your next instinct is to go post it on social media, you've got to it's that same thing. Like, you've got to take that step back and make sure the situation is over, that the person is okay, and that they are okay with you doing something with that footage beyond, if it gets to the level, if it's a situation where the police get involved. Yes, that is great to share with the police, is what has happened, like what happened, in a very true way.
Yeah.
But that is a whole different world than going and putting it on social media where everybody gets to go see,
Yes.
this poor person getting bullied or harassed or
Yes.
whatever, however it goes.
Which in and of itself can also be a form of violence, right? Because now you have violated my privacy, even though we're in this public space, by putting this online where now I have an opportunity to be harassed and bullied by other bullies. Okay. So again, in providing intel, it's not the providing intel is bad. It's actually good. But
Very
it is doing it in concert with another one of the eyes. One more thing I want to say about providing intel and also maybe even initiating a third party. And this is not just for in our communities, but a lot of us will be using these four eyes outside of our communities too. I would always caution people before they call the police in any situation where there is not immediate danger, bodily harm. Okay. I'm not calling the police because somebody's having an argument and I don't like it. Okay. That's not what we're doing. So we want to be able to be responsible when we are initiating the four eyes, and we want to be good neighbors because after this incident is over, you will likely still be living with or working with this person, right? Who was involved in this incident. And so, again, in the spirit of being nonviolent, in the spirit of creating community and being empathetic, we want to do things that repair, right? And that reduce harm, not things that escalate.
Yeah. Yes, that is a great point, because there are those situations. Yes, you might see something on the street out in the wild, you'll never see this person again. But even if that's the case, I think we think of it about as someone we know and love. What would you do for someone you know and love? What would you do for someone that you're going to see tomorrow or later today? And yeah, I think it all, honestly, it does, it all ties back to empathy and thinking about the situation this person's in and what it looks like later, what it looks like tomorrow, what it looks like in a week, and how we can support and show up like we would for anybody else we care about.
Yeah. Yeah. I think too, as we're talking about, maybe some of you who are watching or who will be watching are thinking about scenarios in your communities that may come up, or as you said, out in the wild, things that are happening outside of our communities and how you might respond. I just also want to say that, especially for those of us who are working in communities, we have to be willing to be uncomfortable. Being an upstander is not about doing what's convenient and what's comfortable. Being an ally is not about doing what is comfortable and is convenient. It is about doing what is right. When you see someone making ableist or racist or homophobic, whatever it is, when you see someone acting in a way that is inappropriate and that is hurtful, we have to be willing to do something. And if you don't have the voice to say something, interrupt, initiate a third party, okay? Because we can't have those types of incidences happening, because who wants to be feeling unloved, unwelcomed, not seen, and not heard in their own home? And that's not what we're about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I mean, I hate it, but like I love it. And yeah, even I don't think people really think about it, but even working in senior living, ageism and ableism are still there.
Yes.
And I think we sometimes do a disservice to our residents when we say things like, "That's just their generation."
Yep.
That is taking the power away from our residents themselves and taking away the belief and being ageist towards them, because I know that we have so many residents love learning. They wanna learn more. They may
Yeah.
have grown up a certain way, but that doesn't mean that they're done growing and learning and getting
Yeah.
to that next level. And, if we're talking about it from the staff side, like, again, if you wanna make it into this world and grow as a leader, and then you've always gotta be learning, and learning is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times learning is paired with unlearning.
That's right.
And no one really loves being told that what they believe is wrong, um, or needs to be revisited.
Mhm.
But I think if we want to be in this world, and then we've got to be okay with getting uncomfortable and learning and unlearning and being
Yes.
curious and remembering it's not about you. It's about the you and the world around you and what
Yeah.
you're creating.
I love that you said that. So it's not only about you. It is about you, right? It is about you. Internal reflection. What do I need to work on? I always say, like, when you feel triggered by something,
Mhm.
instead of being reactionary, ask yourself what that is about. That is an opportunity for learning and for gaining new understanding about people, especially people who are outside of your community. I love that you brought up how ageism and ableism can still show up in this industry and in our communities. It does. Recognize it when it does. Don't make excuses for it. Make apologies for it when you recognize it, but don't make excuses. And that's an opportunity to learn and to grow.
Yeah. It's a great moment to self-reflect and get back to why do I think this way, or how did they get there
Yeah.
with their thought process, and yeah, putting yourself in those shoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I am really happy about the fact that we do have so many residents who are lifelong learners, and so many
mhm,
team members too. But the thing is, right, is we can still learn from our residents. They teach us a lot every day if our eyes are open, if our ears are open. So us learning to be better upstanders can also be modeled by what we see in the community. I'm sure there are some upstanders already living in our communities.
absolutely. Absolutely there are, and working in them. And yeah, everybody we interact with is an opportunity for us to learn something. And it sounds like such a cliche, but like, also, cliches exist for a reason. Everybody's here to teach, and we're all teachers, and we're all learning, and it's all at the same time. And
I love
this is
that.
just one more way. So, um, I think even if you have not somehow in this world encountered a situation, where you've needed to be an upstander, it doesn't mean don't take the time to learn about it, because you don't know. It's not like a situation you plan for. You know, you never know when something's going to arise, and you've got to figure out how you can use your voice and help to support the people around you. So if you've never studied the 4 I's or the 5 D's or anything else about bystander intervention, take some time, you know, in honor of International Day of Nonviolence. What a day to do it.
Yeah. And if I could really just give a shout out really quick, to Right to Be, that is the organization formerly known as Holla Back, who came up with the 5 D's of bystander intervention. Anyone who is interested in learning ways of standing in and standing up, they host free workshops every month. You can simply Google Right to Be and find out about their workshops and get in there. And whatever you learn, share in communities where you have influence. That's the thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ayana, this has been lovely. I've really enjoyed talking with you.
I always enjoy talking to you. You know this.
I'm so glad you're finally on LinkedIn Live. And I think we did it. It is 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock for you.
Right on. It is. We did it.
Well, thanks. And we will be back next week. I will not be back on, and neither will Ayana, but Office Hours with Era will be back. We'll be back next week.
We will be back on in the audience, though, because I like to watch and I like to comment and I like to see what's going on. So check in LinkedIn Live with Arrow every Thursday. At what time?
At 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern.
That's right. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.